It's 6 o'clock, and I'd like to open the Port of Newport regular monthly commission meeting on Tuesday, December 7th. We are in the call to order. So, any changes to the agenda? Anybody? Nothing heard. Public comment?
I already made my comment. No comment.
Just that Merry Christmas comment?
It's a great comment.
So on to the consent calendar. The minutes of the regular commission meeting, financial reports, contracts, GS media and events, 2020 Good Sam Guide, Suzuki outboard engine. Does anyone have a discussion about that, or do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I move that we approve the consent calendar as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? None. On to old business. There are no items removed from the consent calendar. We're on to accounts paid on page 33 of our packet. Everyone's had a chance to look through all of this. So, are there any glaring things or comments or things to bring to our attention?
I don't have any.
It doesn't. No? Well, I guess I would ask for a motion to approve the financial reports.
I'll make a motion.
The accounts paid, I'm sorry.
I'll make a motion to approve the accounts paid.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So, the NOAA bond purchase agreement, information only. And I know this has been a lot of hard work for staff, particularly Mark and Paula. They're looking older.
I needed a vacation after that. Actually, in the middle of it.
So, would you like to give us the
Sure.
scoop here?
So I had a bit of that information on my report, so I'll make my report shorter than later. But we have provided, I believe the gold bond agreement also went to the commission, right? Did we get it?
It was not ready.
It wasn't ready. So we'll provide you that. My apologies there.
And that's
we thought
the-
that everything was going to be ready, but
It's a geo bond for the terminals.
when we put the agenda, yeah. But what it came down to is we got most of the NOAA information out over a week ago, and so there was a total savings of $2.9 million, which is about 2.54 in the net present value for the NOAA bond, which is quite good. That is like a 14%, almost 15% savings.
Wow.
And the market went up and down throughout all of these. At one point, we were over 15%. They went down, and we had Moody's rating at A plus. We're hoping that we would have gotten a double A, but apparently the biggest thing was the fact that we don't have a trustee holding the funds. In most cases, they feel like if a trustee holds the fund, there's less chance of that money being used for anything else, even though we show 10 years of everything going fine. It was something that even SBA was kind of frustrated why they hung on that so much, but it was the case. We tried to actually get insurance for, and I thought we actually did, but my understanding is it would have taken a couple of weeks for that to come through, which maybe would have lowered things a little bit, but we ended up not getting for that. We did get for the GEO bond,
Okay.
which helped lower the interest on that, which we also got an A plus from S&P. But at the end, it was still a good rating, and we still got good rates overall. We say the GEO bonds was a savings of approximately 1.1 million at 802,000 on net present value, and that's a 16.52% savings. And these savings are savings to the public. The port itself doesn't get
On the GEO bond
on
only.
the GEO bond. They don't get benefits currently. I mean, we already got what we got from the
Right.
public, and we
A
appreciate
lovely dock.
that. But today we're trying to, save the public some money too on this process, which was a good thing. We're happy with it. Mark and I were non-stop on this, and I truly appreciate all Mark's help throughout, especially last week when I was out. And he stepped on and did a lot of follow through with those folks. But all in all, it was a good process, good group of people we work with. Everything went quite smoothly, really, even though it was a lot of work. So, do you have any questions about the process at all? And we also, in this process, by the way, we are holding less of a reserve now as well. So some of the remainder reserve that we had got put towards the total payoff of the real bond.
Less reserves, meaning,
We are holding less money as required because now our total annual payment is less.
right.
We're for about 2.1 million in reserves to 1.7 million that will require, it's a year's payment, the maximum value.
So we aren't really touching the reserves, they just got rearranged a little bit.
Yeah,
Decreased.
pretty much.
Nice work.
Yeah, I think
Great.
this speaks to your vision, Paula, of coming in and with Mark and new staff to find ways to get more money for us to be able to maybe have matching funds. And so we don't really, we save the money, but we don't get paid the money.
Now, what it
So we're
does,
setting aside that,
we save it on the next 10 years where we are actually able to hold on to about 252,000 of that money that we would have paid otherwise.
right,
So that saves us. So in other words, in a 10-year period, we'll put away that much money
Right.
that we save. But we're doing it annually. And the intent here again, as we talked about it, is we are struggling to find reserve funds for matching on grants and loans or whatever else comes about that we need to get some projects going, and this would at least help that a little bit, boost that reserve. We'll try to put it aside unless something, there's nothing saying we can't use those funds for other things, but internally our vision is to keep those funds separate into an account that would be dedicated to match funds.
especially with a little bit of downturn
Yeah.
on the reserve. So again, I just think it's moving in the right direction, exactly where, Gil.
Yeah, so I'm curious, so if you move from A+ or AA, what's the change in the interest rate? Ultimately, what's the effect by not being able to get the next highest rating? And more out of curiosity.
That's a great question, and you never know because the market changes every day, but it could be anywhere from 10 to 100 basis points. Yeah, so,
Okay.
so 1% interest would be 100 basis points.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 0.1. I thought it'd be something like that. Anyway, you guys should be congratulated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is somewhere decent.
Great effort.
And
Great
I-
effort, yeah. Very
and I-
smart to do this.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I got to say, I really appreciate the special district's assistance on this. This all came about me talking to our municipal advisor and talking about the lack of match funds and trying to figure out where we could get more money. And he came up with the idea that we could at this point in time refinance the NOAA bonds and the GEO bonds, and I really appreciate David Aldrich in particular assistance on this. So
Well, you know, black is a much better color than red,
definitely. for this
except at
purpose.
Christmas time.
On the finance side, certainly is.
Well, thank you, and again, good job. So, off to new business. We have an interesting analysis of operations and systems, and Mark has been busy with that too. And so,
Never lack of something to do.
keeps you out of trouble.
Yeah, that's boring.
So as we move forward, whether we move forward this year or 2 years down the road, to look at a new financial system, one of the things you need to know is how do you do business today? Then you need to look at, oh, that's not going to work if we go from a manual system, the service tickets that we do for sand, the service tickets that we do for all the lifts. We go from that manual system to a computerized system. So what this would do is map out all those processes to help us move towards that computerized system. But it wouldn't be me, it wouldn't be Aaron making those decisions on what would be ideal. It would be those people that actually perform the actions. So the heistermen, the drivers, the people that run the cranes, they would be saying, now that won't work because I have to do this, this, and this
Right.
all at the same time. What will work? And so you map those out so you can write your specifications in the RFP to meet those needs. That's what it's all about.
Well, again, moving into the modern world, or at least ready to.
That's it. I did do a comparison, as you'll see there. Larry Ridgely Consulting. I've talked with people that have worked with him before, including talking to myself. And he comes highly recommended by others, other than just me.
And how much time will we be spending with these people, or a vendor when we get it?
Yeah.
Just as time allows when we move in that direction.
He's semi-retired. Okay, so he can do it as he's available to do it when we need it.
Great.
So I would see this would be no more than, as a whole, 30 working days would be way outside the time that it would take to do this. I could see 3 to 4 days to get this done.
Right. And it's all encompassing both sides of the bay and all the operations.
Yes, yes. And, even if time allows, looking at some of our current financial processes, talking how we can do better.
Yeah, once you start talking, then things come up to talk about more.
Talk purchase orders.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Concepts.
Yeah.
So way below the not to exceed number is the guess, right? That's a quarter to a half or something.
That's what I'm shooting for,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
We're-
so question. Oh,
Yes,
sorry.
good. No, go ahead.
So why did the other vendors not provide a bid? Have some sense about that?
No sense at all about that. The contract with the state of Oregon says you must do it electronically. I did it electronically, sent it to the contact, and they never responded. They had a week and a half to respond. So
But you're confident in a single vendor?
I am very confident in him. I saw him do his work before.
Okay.
Unknown entity. Any other comments?
Yeah, so one more, just make sure I understand the process. So if I understand what you've written here, that at the end, what they will provide is, and tell me if I'm wrong here, I mean, they'll provide what the system, kind of the structure of the system, and also the potential savings of the system, is that right?
That is what this is asking for, yes. So what they actually do, part of this methodology is they do swim lanes. So here's the driver. This is what his responsibility is. This is the front office, these are their responsibilities. Where do they intersect? They do it both for the as-is and the to-be.
Mhm.
That's very interesting. And then they'll look at how much savings are we going to get by doing a computerized model versus doing the paper model. You won't be able to do certain things like what is the cash flow implication on the cash flow implications. Because right now it takes anywhere from 30 to 60 days to get the invoice out.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's important as we move forward and think about, spending money in purchasing systems, processes, and whatever, to find out if it's worth it, and how much, and what is the payoff time, for those things. So, because sometimes it may be worth, sometimes it may not. So, but we don't know how we would do that, how we figure it out internally. So, these are people that does that on a regular basis, and they know. At least they will give us a better idea, and then at that point we'll make a decision. We can come to you at that point and say, yes, we want to proceed with this, and this is how long it will take for us to recoup the money we're spending on it, and if it's worth it.
Right.
That's it.
It ties right into our strategic business plan.
We gotta create efficiencies,
Yeah.
as we move forward, and in creating efficiencies, for the most part, will save you money. Money and time. So.
Okay.
Another good move by staff.
So
We're gonna do this.
I'll move that we authorize the GM to contract with Larry Ridgely Consulting at a rate of $100 per hour, plus reasonable travel expenses, plus reasonable and pre-approved travel expenses at the GSA rate not to exceed $12,500 in order to perform system analysis and to assist in development of an RFP for a new financial system.
I'll second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, well, Mark's the man of this meeting. We have you again as
This meeting is all about Mark.
staff reports.
It's like the quickest meeting.
So I've enclosed the department report. In addition to on the back of my report, I've added a comparison of where we're at year to date this year versus where we're at year to date last year. Because I wanted to give you an idea of how we're doing or what's profitability. I did see that I didn't include South Beach. I noted that, and we'll make sure if you want that, we'll get it to you. So I'm just going to talk South Beach. Net income is up almost $270,000 if you remove, without taking into account the leases and depreciation. So it's up substantially. Then on page 104 of this report, you're going to see the administrative this year versus last year. It's as expected because we have a couple new positions, a full-time GM and myself, that the expenses are going to be up. That's a given. You also notice that in there's leases that aren't in there anymore. So it's up there. On the next page, you're going to see the commercial marina. And on the commercial marina, income is up about $240K versus last year. If you discount the leases, it's up $170. Mortgage revenue and risk revenues are up. Material and services expenses are down. Again, that results in the net income being higher than previous years. Page 106 is all the general operating costs. And again, we have more revenue, less expenditures, resulting in better profitability from previous years. And the numbers there, again, remember depreciation is in here. So net income is up 261. It's at 261 versus 515. depreciation being almost 700,000 back in there.
Right.
So it's a big jump.
Yeah.
We're looking really good. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. That's right.
International terminal, same thing. They're ahead of last year if you remove depreciation. Depreciation helps show us the real picture. Positive cash flow, negative income. That's what happens. So that's your comparison of last year. Any questions on that? I did do it really quick. I realize that, so there might be questions. So the international terminal, we actually have an extra person over there right now. We're capturing more revenues than we've ever captured before. One person couldn't do it, I believe.
It's such a tough job out there for one person.
Yeah, so we do have more than one person out there. So personnel expenses are up, but we don't have anyone in the maintenance department.
Right. And they're recovering costs.
They're recovering our costs. I think it's going to drive up in
It's a great safety factor too.
Yeah.
That's
I
good.
mean,
Yes.
things
Well,
that
and we cannot
get
make
captured.
someone work every single day and weekends. It
No.
just makes no sense.
It's
And
hard
if
to
we're
keep
going to
someone
provide the
like that.
service, we got to have the services over the weekend as well. And again, all that is captured by the service that is being charged for.
Right.
So,
Right. A long time coming.
Yes.
It's good to that.
Yeah.
Now, I can discuss real briefly to budget, just so you have that. I'm going to start, though, on page 17 and not the first page of how we're doing the budget. Page 17 is a statement of cash flows. I'll turn that to it. So net cash increase for fiscal year to date, July 1st to November 19th, actually. End of November, $929,721 net cash increase, which is a really nice show.
Oh, yeah.
You there?
Yep.
Okay, good. So, and it's really, you have your income plus operational cash, so cash we received, plus in cash from investments, less our financing activities. Financing activities are primarily depreciation in this case, and that's how you come out with your position for the year of cash flow. Those are the factors. Now that we did 17, I'm going to turn back to page 9. And I will reorder these next time after I wrote my short notes for myself. I wanted to do cash flow first just because it seemed right. So page 9 is the balance sheet. The highlights, you'll see our net assets declined almost $29 million. The reason for that is we transferred assets from the general operating fund over to NOAA where they belong. So the NOAA pier and facilities assets are now located with the NOAA account. So when accumulated depreciation occurs, it actually shows in NOAA, which is, you can do it either way. This one, for our sake, I think is a better reflection of actual. Okay. So general operating fund balance sheet, from there we'll jump to page 11, which is the P&L for the general operating fund. Highlights on that, just a point on all these income statements. Any income item that's greater than 44% reflects positively for the year. We're at 44% of our year. Okay. Any expenditures below 44% are good. That means we're meeting or exceeding our budget in most cases. So essentially, we are meeting our budget or exceeding our budget on most, if not all, items. Of course, depreciation line item is in there, and that's sort of what happens. Even with depreciation, we're showing a positive net income for the year, which is perfect. As we know, for the next few months, income will decline, but that's to be expected. Okay? Questions on that? Too brief, just right? Okay.
It's very understandable.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Page 12 is our administration account. Sort of covered that in the other one. These will be next month. So slowly we're getting things done. You saw the depreciation is now by profit center, not administration anymore. Next month, you'll see a line item on this that says transfers out. It'll be a transfer of all the administrative costs. They'll still remain in these accounts, so you're going to see the administration broken like this. There'll just be another line down there that says transfers out, and that will be allocated to the profit centers. So you'll be able to see your administrative expenses and you'll be able to see your allocation by profit center. So you'll have a full picture. Again, it's looking good. It's on budget. Okay. International terminal. Mortgage is a bit low for where we're at for the year, but I've looked at the trends. I did this morning. And the trends, it's very typical for this time of the year to be where we're at. So it's acceptable. Personal services are high. We discussed the reason for that just a second ago. If you remove the depreciation, it's actually showing a nice profit. So it's a positive cash flow. This is what I like to see. And we move to the commercial arena on page 15. Again, hoist dock services are down a little bit. And again, as with the international terminal, that's to be expected at this time of year. Income expenses are under budget, and if you again take away that depreciation, we have a positive profit and cash flow. So in good shape. Page 19, I'm not covering the maintenance department, as we have very few expenditures there, but I'm going to move right to page, actually I'm going to move to page 16, which is South Beach. South Beach, even with depreciation, is showing a nice profit. As you can see, the depreciation for South Beach is about $141,000 year to date. So we're in good shape, and we're on target to meet or exceed our budget. We're going to do as our budget predicted or better. Now I'll move to the NOAA, which is on page 19. So depreciation for NOAA is really expensive. $652,000 year to date. It's because all the facilities are new. We'll be looking at the length of life on this depreciation, especially for the pier, to determine if it's right. It's really Aaron's call. He knows piers more than anyone else. And so we are going to review all of them. I see that South Beach and the commercial marina have lasted a lot longer than what their life predicted. So it's something we need to look at. Again, not profitable with depreciation, profitable without depreciation. I'm not going to go into the details of the others. We just haven't had any activity. So capital, facilities, and bond reserves. All of the activity occurred after. And we sort of refinanced. That's it for financials. Question on the financials?
Any questions?
I'm trying to keep it short. We did receive $6.2 proposals for bank services. I have not reviewed them to see which are qualified. So did they do everything that the bid said they needed to do to qualify? So we need to put a committee together that will evaluate those. I proposed in the RFP it would be us three plus a commission member.
Like Gil?
I'm asking for a volunteer next.
Have I been volunteer?
Didn't sound that way.
Maybe.
Sure. I'd be glad.
Okay. Well, I'll get with you.
Unless anyone has a burning desire. Burning desire?
Seems like Gil really wants to do it.
Yeah,
He seems pumped.
You didn't hesitate.
I did not.
I'll give you a copy of the RFP before we meet.
Okay.
So you have it. And we started working on our budget. We've already got our preliminary information together. Aaron's team has started putting together their maintenance. We have our depreciation together. I have our expenditures all lined out so we can start really playing with the numbers and coming up with the budget. So we can be done early. There will be
That's
some unknowns, but we can add those in easily later.
That's a nice thing to hear.
So we're excited.
Yeah.
We're excited.
I'm constantly amazed at the fact that we're a service port to commercial fishing, which obviously is seasonal, that all of it works at all. I mean, it's really, I just feel like we're on a path to making the port a better place.
That's all we can try to do.
I have, I believe, made an error on the consent calendar. Was there a motion that I missed?
Oh, for the motor.
Walter, why?
it's all covered under the.
So we don't have to
We
make a motion?
made a motion to
All right, I
approve
will
the whole
leave my
consent calendar.
secretary.
Good
Thank
Put
you.
deal.
that wording in there
Thank
just in
you.
case somebody pulls it out.
Right.
That way, after some discussion, it can still be
Right.
if you need to.
I got you covered.
Good deal.
So, that's just it's a wonderful news from Mark all the way around. So, Director of Operations report.
Alrighty, so we're on page 99 of this slide.
Actually, yours is 111.
Mine's 111. Strike one. So much of what is in here is actually a little bit dated now because I wrote this a few days ago and some of these situations have changed. So I'll describe where we're at with everything. It's been a pretty busy month trying to get bids on work and get proposals in and wrapping up permitting on a couple of different projects. The EDA grant request is moving again, so this information is old. The state historic, what I described in the next section is old news. It's the State Historic Preservation Office has confirmed with the EDA that we're in compliance with Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act. And so our grant request has cleared the EDA office in Seattle. It's going to Washington, D.C. now. The other biggest thing we've got going on is we got a lot of turnover on the commercial side this time of year, which is really difficult because we're starting our busy time there. South Beach Storm and Sewer Project. The permits for that will be done December 21st. Right now is the comment period for any archaeological interests on the project. So that period closes on the 21st of December, and once that's finished, I expect the permit to come shortly thereafter. I just got the proposals in yesterday. We got 6 of them from different contractors each, and I'm still in the process of reviewing those. Same thing, we have to put a committee together to review the proposals. I went out for, instead of doing a request for quotes on this, I asked for proposals because we were looking to spend a little bit less money on it's a fairly simple fix, so we don't need to over-engineer it. We're looking to spend a little bit less money on engineering and get the contractors to weigh in on some practical solutions for what we need to fix over there. I think we have just that. We got a pretty wide variety of costs on some comparable work. So I expect that you may hear from us again prior to the next meeting, possibly on this, and also on our anode project, which I'll get into here in just a minute. So the EDA, like I said, that's all been approved by the Seattle office, and it's on its way. Everything you see here has been rectified at this point. We got caught in with a good old-fashioned catch-22. We've been in compliance with Section 106, but obviously the EDA is the one who holds the purse strings on this. So they want to make triple sure that we're all good on our projects. South Beach Boat Ramp repair, we're just waiting for a good tide to be able to do it. And that'll be coming up here in the next month or so. The employee turnover in the commercial marina is we're getting ready to lose another employee here in a couple weeks. She's one of our more qualified people, and she's getting ready to leave us. But in any case, that's going to leave us with our most tenured employee there has been here for about 6 months, which is particularly troublesome when you consider that, on the weekends, for example, in both South Beach and the commercial marina, the port hasn't really had a management staff member on call, on staff in either location ever, and so we depend on the experience of our employees to be able to run and be self-sufficient. So when you lose all that experience all at the same time, it puts us in a really difficult position. In talking with people who are exiting, the primary issue is low pay. The job market's pretty good right now. When you compare the pay that they're getting that they can get elsewhere, either locally or elsewhere in the state, we're just not keeping up. And so there's a lot of people that are leaving us. So we've been doing a lot of interviews here lately, and that's part of the cost of turnover is the time recruiting and bringing in and evaluating more people, sifting through candidates and trying to get the most qualified out of what we get. Like I said, we're going to have some struggles, particularly with the lack of automation that we're trying to get addressed. It places a high degree of importance on the personal knowledge of the employees rather than institutional knowledge and in procedures and things like that. So, for example, taking inventory, which is one of our biggest revenue sources, is storage and moorage. It's all done by inventory. That's done by a person who does it the same way each time, and that person is going to be leaving. So now we got to make sure that the next person gets trained up as quickly as possible, right at the time when everybody's getting ready to go fishing. So it's going to be really difficult. We also have second shift duties this year, which is a good thing for us to undertake because it stands to earn a measurable amount of revenue at the hoist dock, and we don't want to miss that opportunity. So it's going to be a challenge, but we're doing our best there. Army Corps officially sent us correspondence and said that we are funded for the beginning stages of this Continuing Authorities Program Section 107 request that we put in to dredge an access channel through the marina at minus 20 feet. So they're going to be assigning a project manager to the project and start to move on it here in the next few weeks. So I expect to hear back from them, whoever's going to be running the project, very shortly. But this is one of the early dominoes that needs to fall to get us underway on our 5-year plan, and it's going along pretty well for now. So this is a huge. That's a huge thing. Without the access to be able to get vessels in and out of there, there's a lot of things that you can't do. First of all, but secondly, the funding that comes with it is it's a lot. So the cost of dredging is high, and I don't know how this project's going to pencil out in the end, but it'll be a big win for us if everything goes well. So the SDAO Safety and Security Grant was approved. I got word on that today, and so that means we're going to be applying that to cameras over here in South Beach. We also just ordered some more cameras for over on the commercial side as well. Those things, not only do they increase our ability to provide security, but they also add billing capacity for us because we can bill people for things that we otherwise can't see that happen after hours and so on.
You may also want to state the fact that we can apply for that same grant every year.
For cameras?
Yeah, for the cameras and lights and things like that. And we're looking into doing so every year and trying to slowly apply to different areas as we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it recovered a lot of money at the hoist dock, I know.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, it makes a big difference.
Does TCB analyze that footage, or do we?
They have access to all of it,
Right.
so they can go back and grab snapshots of people, and it's been used to exclude people from port property for criminal activity, and it's a very good way for us to be able to monitor the port, bill for things that need to be billed,
Yep.
and keep things safe. So. Siding projects in South Beach are wrapping up for the year. We're looking ahead to next year, trying to get a couple of projects budgeted for. And we definitely still have plenty. The old dry moorage building is going to need to get sided at some point. That's going to be a really big project just because of where the building's located, with the north side being over the water. But take a look around at the projects that have been done so far. The House of Spirits and the public restrooms there have been sided and painted. The showers and laundry facility, and it's a great improvement. We'll be looking toward the south restrooms next year, which get the brunt of the weather coming underneath the bridge, and for whatever reason, it also gets the brunt of bad behaved patrons too. I don't know why, but that bathroom gets ripped apart worse than any of them. So we're going to be looking to put some money into it over the next budget cycle. I attended the Oregon Coastal Zone Management Association meeting down in Florence. It was a really good meeting. They covered a variety of issues that are facing the entire coast, and it really is a good organization for the port to maintain membership with and to stay active with, because it can give us a voice on a lot of issues coming up, particularly with the things that Boeing's doing offshore. We want to stay involved in that. The Cathonic Protection Project over at NOAA, we just got bids in. We finished up the bidding today, so we didn't get it back in time. A lot of the time crunch is a result of permitting. This is a project that has to be permitted. The stormwater outfall had to be permitted as well, so we've been waiting to get bids on these because we wanted to see how the permitting process was going to shake out. So we're still waiting on the permits for that project as well, but we have 3 bids on it. And so what we're talking about doing is possibly seeing about maybe scheduling a phone conference meeting where once we can evaluate the bids, we can get you the information well in advance so you can review it and then vote to approve whichever contract you find to be acceptable. So we want to make sure that everybody has plenty of opportunity to read the material before, so we don't just want to throw stuff out to you the same day. We want to make sure it's transparent as possible. January 6th at 4 p.m. there's a parking meeting, work session at the city. I went to the last city council meeting where they covered this as an agenda item, and a lot of the comment that was received from the public during that meeting was favorable toward the city's parking plan, the draft parking plan that the recommendations that the parking committee had submitted out there. So, like I said before, we just need to be aware that probably the biggest impact to the port is going to be if the city moves forward with some sort of plan to do paid permit parking on the bayfront. We're going to need to look at our own permitting system and our own parking assets over there and determine how it's best to mesh with the city's use of permits and the future of our parking areas. Because, like I said, if say, for example, the city's parking permit is issued and it costs you $100 a year, and the port's issuing a permit at $20 a year, everybody's really going to want to not buy the city permit if the city doesn't honor our permits. And what it'll do is increase demand on our parking spaces. So that's just one example of a scenario that can play out. But those are the kind of things that we want to be aware of moving ahead. That's about all I have, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. All the individual locations are there for you to consume as you like.
So question. So back to the issue of the employee turnover. So did the employees take jobs in other fields, or did they take another job in a similar type of job?
Well, it's a mixture. Well, it's a mixture of things. Obviously, there sometimes in the past we have had some people who went to Port of Toledo because the Port of Toledo is paying better than we are. If those are the only two ports in general in the area, I guess you have comparable marina type jobs up in Depot Bay, and then if you get a job in the Embarcadero, that would be another comparable place. But it's been. I think that you have to look at it more generally than that. Our labor at the port comes with a number of different competencies. It's generally a forklift operator, a maintenance personnel, equipment operator of some sort, those type of individuals. So they're staying within that field, generally speaking, with a couple of exceptions. But yeah, they're going elsewhere where they can get paid better. So.
But if you look at a port similar to ours, like Astoria, Coos Bay, we're way low. And even though we got this survey, and we have not been able, with the amount of budget we have for this year, to increase that, especially the maintenance level, to what the survey required fully. But even at the survey level, I think we're still below what other ports do, quite frankly. And then the cost of living here in Newport isn't cheap anymore. So I think, again, this is something that I actually was going to bring up during my report, but I think we're going to come back to you during budget season here and ask for quite a bit more, because quite frankly, turnover is very expensive. And then, as Aaron indicated, having people that are now well trained, and we're the type of business that we're open on weekdays and weekends. And then if you get somebody, you can get just the folks on the management level to be here on the weekends and evenings and so on. You've got to have people that have some expertise on that field. And in order to hold on to those folks, you got to pay right. We have sent some folks for training. We spend money with that, and then now they're gone. And I think we need to train our people, but we got to also pay them right, so then we can hold on to them. That's what it comes down to. So.
And one example I might give you is we get a lot of pressure from our customers about the level of services that we deliver. I got a call from an aggravated customer on a Sunday afternoon a couple weeks ago because our crane operator said, I'm not going to be operating the crane today because the winds are 25 knots. So that's the operational parameters of the crane is 25 knots of wind. But anybody that works outside understands that the winds don't stop at 25 knots. They operate around 25 knots. So the aggravation was from the customer saying that, well, right now the winds are fine. It's not 25 knots. And he needs to get the crane and go ahead and pull my gear off the boat. Well, when you have somebody who's not confident in their abilities, what he's looking for is a skilled crane operator who can say, you know what, I got a window for about 10 minutes here. I'm going to be able to pull this gear off the boat real quick before the winds pick back up and make it unsafe for me to do. Bear in mind, this crane operators get paid $16 an hour to operate a 30-ton mobile crane. So you cannot demand a high degree of services and pay somebody at the bottom end of the scale. It just doesn't work that way. You won't get an experienced crane operator, and that's what you get.
It opens up liability and
right.
potential for workman's comp and many other things.
Right, and it's not a good idea when you're in an operations management scenario to go someplace that is dangerous and tell an operator who's saying, I'm not comfortable doing this, to get in the crane and go do it. That's how you get people hurt and killed. And I won't do it, and we're not going to do that. And he was well within his bounds to say, you know what, we've got 25 knots of winds coming through during squalls today. I don't think it's safe for me to push the envelope here a little bit. Whereas if you have somebody who's a lot more experienced and more proficient, they wouldn't be able to do that. But it comes at a higher rate to get that type of service.
And to be clear, it's just not maintenance staff. I've had 2 conversations in the last week and a half regarding pay.
That's right, too.
Right.
Right, so just one follow-up question. So So when they left and you're trying to do hires, we have a structured salary that's already structured, and you have to go by those tables.
Well-
Is that the way the process works or not? How much
We're
flexibility is there?
just talking about that today, and we're really trying to see how we can, because we went through this about 3 months ago or so, where we sat down, went through huge spreadsheet with what we have on budget, what the salary is currently, what we have on budget, and what the survey says, and midpoint, and highest point, and where they're below that. We went through all of that, and we came up with some sort of map where we felt like, well, this is what we can do with the 50,000 we were given to adjust some of this. And here's where we would like to be next year, and this is what we think we should be asking the commissioners. But we're still quite low on the maintenance portion of the positions, on the maintenance positions. We're at the survey level, but it was still quite low. And what we learned with all these people leaving, especially on the maintenance side, is that we may have to up that a bit too. So that just changes slightly. So as we're hiring new people now, we may have to look at a little bit higher than we're anticipating. And what it comes down to is because we did have a couple positions that left and we have not replaced, we still have a bit of money to play with that for this fiscal year. But that means that coming the next fiscal year, we're going to have to implement that new salary that didn't exist before, on a little higher rate. And so you will see that request. And I think that is very important. And quite frankly, at this point in time, and at least the three of us feel like it's one of the most important things we have to do is get the right staff on board and have well-trained people in order for us to do everything that our strategic plan requires to do. So
Are we looking at like 90,000 added to that for next year?
I would say we're probably going to be closer to 120.
Yeah. Well, you can't get the job done if there's nobody to do it.
And I'm not going to say we're going to use that up entirely, but I think we need a cushion. It may be in 110 to 120 in order to be where we need to be, quite frankly. So just keep that in mind as we move forward with the budget, that it's an issue. It's very important. And I heard even before I came on board to this board, I heard that this was an issue already by many sources, and I can definitely see it as an issue. So,
Agree.
Any comments, questions?
I have a non-related question. What's the update on the road wastewater pre-treatment system? Are they doing okay? Are they getting there?
They're doing all right. They're still, I think, projected to get that thing up and running mid-January is where it's at. But it's still going as it was intended to. So we have, anyway, it's a footprint issue, but we got some other things that it might conflict with.
Right.
But we're doing our best to make sure it doesn't spread out, so that it prevents other type of projects for us. So.
Thanks.
I have questions on, you say we're doing second shift, which is proven we're making money during crab season at the hoist. Do we use the second shift, is that temp workers?
No, we're using, so we're planning to, we generally offer it to our most senior people because it comes at a better rate.
Right.
So that's where we start, is with the most senior people that we have. But
Yeah.
what is
Six
the
months.
It's a moot point this year.
Yeah.
we're starting to run now.
3 weeks.
Do you pull people from the south side?
No, because the folks over here haven't had they haven't had the interest in the work over there, and
So you can't pool it.
Right.
Bummer.
Can we give them warm clothes and cool looking boots?
We do that.
We do?
We-
But are they
we-
cool?
That's subjective.
It's dark out. You can't really see.
I have another question about the dredging. So is that going to go to the port dock, to the hoist dock, or is it going to have anything to do with Port Dock 7? Or?
Yeah, the idea is that it would give us a minus 20-foot channel all the way through the marina and then
Wow.
also to the hoist dock.
Wow.
And then there's supposed that includes a turning basin in the center for maneuverability.
And there's no eelgrass issues, et cetera?
There will be.
Okay.
It's all going to be about. All of this has to be. That'll come out during the feasibility study. But it'll be an Army Corps project for that, so it's not something that we're going to have to solve for them. The Army Corps will have to figure out, a solution for it.
Oh.
But yeah.
And I gotta say, this is almost unheard of to be able
Yeah.
to get that from the Corps on the project that is not on the main channel.
Right.
It's very, very unusual for them to even take that on. So I truly kudos to Aaron for working with them on that and getting them on board. Sometimes it's relationship. Sometimes it's they see the impact on the economy of the area, but this is very unheard of. So I'm very pleased that they are even taking that on, and we'll know what the possibility of getting that done. So good job on Aaron's part.
When was the last time that it was dredged in there?
At least 30 years ago.
Right.
It's on the north side, so it scours naturally, and it doesn't accumulate a lot of sediment.
Right.
What we're looking to do, though, is in general change the shape of the marina.
Right.
Yeah.
So that you can actually fit modern-sized vessels throughout. That's what we want to be able to do.
Step one for the $20 million rebuild.
Good work.
Well, what it comes down to is, as we do have obviously the Dock 7 on our strategic plan for all the changes they intend to do that. And if we did everything we did and we didn't address the channel, it kind of doesn't go very far. But by addressing this now, when we get to that point, that part it's already taken care of, and it will be will make a huge difference in the size of vessels we can get in.
Right. So is that going to compromise any of the existing pilings anyway?
You compromise how so?
Like scour right up to, I hit it.
Well, timeline-wise, if you look at our projects over the next 5 years, the dredging won't be occurring until it's going to take some time.
Right.
So concurrently, what we'll be doing is
Permits.
working on the reconfiguration of that dock as well, and all that stuff's got to be rebuilt because it's all falling apart anyhow. So the idea is that this would all kind of come off at about the same time.
Okay.
And it'll be a lot of work, but if we can get it to come off, it'll change the shape of the area for decades.
Right. I have another question on the camels are done at the NOAA dock.
The what's that?
Camels.
Oh, so we were just talking about that today. We I think we're going to need to contract that out. It's not in waterworks, so we can do it at any point in time. We got the parts, but given the time of year that it is right now, the amount of people that we have, because that would have been a maintenance crew project, but we're going to need to go ahead and contract it. So
It's a tall dock too. It's
Yeah.
right there. And then with the parking committee, are you saying that we want the city to honor the ports? Are you saying there could be a situation where they would just turn it over to, like the parking down from the Maritime Museum? They're saying that maybe that would just become city parking and not?
Not the lots, not our the
So
lots.
those are all fine.
Yeah, that's all going. What I'm saying is that it depends on how the city's permit system meshes with the port's permit system. And if it doesn't, imagine you're looking to get a parking pass for down there because you need to work down there,
Right.
And the city's charging, say, I don't know, $100 or something like that, and the port's charging $20. You're going to go for the port pass if the city's not honoring the port's passes, and because currently you can park on the street if you want to.
Right.
But what may happen in the future is the city may say, well, this is going to be city permit parking
Okay.
only, if we don't negotiate something with them where they will honor our permits as well. That's who knows? They haven't even approached any of that stuff yet, so I just want to make sure everybody knows that that's a discussion that will be coming in the future at some point, and that we're going to want to pay attention, I think. So.
And there are folks out there that sometimes don't quite understand the difference between, because we're a public entity in the city, provides free parking, and then, some folks are like, well, why the port got this big lot, why they don't provide parking? And I guess folks don't understand that we got to generate funds in order to operate the port. And then those parking lots there are for business to generate for operations, and not for public use in general. So there's a bit of misunderstanding there, because I've already had few folks approaching and talking about that.
Well, there's always misunderstanding there.
Yeah. So it is just something that as we move forward, as the city move forward with what they're doing there, depending what comes out of it, some of those issues may come up, and some folks may bring that up. Just be aware of it.
Well, it's a conundrum.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Any more questions about any of this? Okay, so we are to general manager report.
Well, looks like I have addressed.
Yeah, Walter's got a prior
Okay,
engagement.
Sorry.
that's okay. Like,
Merry
You're
Christmas,
allowed.
Happy Holidays, everybody.
Same to you.
likewise,
So do you.
yeah.
Okay, good.
I have addressed most of the stuff really as we went on. I put this report together before I went on vacation last week, so I have added a few things I can let you know about. So we already talked about the NOAA bonds and the GEO bonds. I also have here my report that we did get. I applied for it's a $6,000 training for staff that we're hoping to start maybe in January. And what that is it's someone locally that does training, and she does training for the college, and just helping people work together better.
Mm-hmm.
We had some issues here at the port with staff kind of trying to understand what people's expectations are, and so they understand leadership, and leadership understand them, and know how to work together, as a team. And that's been an issue. So we had this $6,000 scope of work that I provided to the Ford Family Foundation, asked if they would provide us a grant for. And they, with the port putting 20% down, which is about $1,200, and they just approved it. So I would say to move forward with that project with only $1,200 quite good. So we really appreciate the grant we received, and I think we'll start the process. We're going to break that into two because of the crab season starting and being a little harder to get those folks on board. But hopefully, my intent here is to really have a good team moving forward. I truly believe that having good staff, good team, that work well together, understand each other, work for the port with one goal. I know it's kind of like kumbaya type thing in a way, but that's what I want. I want people to really have a good relationship, and I think this is important. So,
Good stuff.
I think it really makes people feel valued,
right.
that they're really doing a good job. They just need to be directed correctly. And when you can focus attention on them and make them better, then some problems go away.
Well, I think it gives the administration a better understanding how to approach folks in general. One thing we learned, at least I learned as I came on board, is that sometimes people are put in a supervisor position without any training.
Yeah, that's
and
unfair.
they don't know how to address issues that comes up with their employees. And I think this will help on that a little bit too. And it will help them communicate with their staff and help staff communicate with their supervisors as well. So that's what I'm trying to accomplish out of this, because we definitely noticed that there is an issue there at times. The other stuff, it's mostly, list here. I took a tour of the NOAA with EXO there to look at some modifications they want to make. No big deal there. We also got the Seafood and Wine Festival permit going. I think it's pretty self-explanatory from what we have done in the past. It's nothing different there. Aaron and I attended the U.S. Army Corps open house just to keep up on some of the new rules and things like that. As always, monthly I attend the White Beef meeting, and also been trying to keep up with the mates, as Aaron and I typically attend those meetings. Then I met with PacWest Communication. These are some folks that focus on especially communicating with the legislators with any issues. They put out some proposals which I still got to evaluate a little bit more. And what and I think they were referred to us by Senator Rowland's office. And I actually knew some of these folks. I have worked with them on my previous board. And maybe something we should consider at times, depending on what kind of issues we have. I don't think at this point in time we have anything major that I think the PR person we have here locally, it works just fine. But say, for instance, with the issues that the port had with the terminal, those would be good opportunities to hire someone at that level, because they're usually not as cheap. I'm not saying that we have to be cheap, but they're much more expensive, knowledgeable folks on how to deal with federal, state level, issues. They even assist sometimes with grants issues, and there may be times too when we may want to apply for some higher level grants that they could assist. So I'll keep you posted as we go forward, and if we feel like that's a needed service. Let's see here. Yesterday, I attended the Oregon Business Plan Leadership Summit. This is something that you have literally a good portion of the federal legislators were there, the governor and the state legislators as well. I met with a few of the reps that we have worked with, including also Representative Goldberg was there, and representatives from the Wyden's office, and a bunch of other folks really. So it was good. It was good, especially for getting to talk to folks, keep them apprised of what we're doing, and there's some good information as well. So as I was already in Portland signing bonds, I thought might as well participate on that. I also got a call from the folks that did the fireworks last year from our terminal, and they're already looking for next year, and they don't want to spend too much time looking for a place like they did last year, so they're trying to get ahead of themselves. I spoke to Aaron, and he felt like it went pretty smoothly in the terminal, and unless you have any issues with having the fireworks there again, I would say we would maybe move forward with that special permit and get that going, even though we're, still far away from it. Okay.
Yeah, the fireworks are a ways away.
Yeah, it is, but they want it to be ready.
They were really scattering.
Oh yeah, as far as far away, yes, it was.
It's bad.
We didn't feel like there was a threat to any vessels or anything there, so hopefully that shouldn't be a problem. I also we got the SDO conference coming up here pretty soon, and sometimes they run out of space. I already went ahead and reserved hotels in Seaside for it, but I really would like to know as soon as possible from which commissioners would be interested in attending. So that conference is January 6th through the 8th. And usually it got
February.
February.
Yeah.
It's because she put that January here. It's February. I'm sorry.
I was getting hopeful there for a minute.
No, it's February. Yeah. I didn't even think about the date. I just read it with listed. That is usually very, very good for the commissioners because there are a lot of topics and how to. There's one session in particular. It's literally training for the commissioners, especially new commissioners. But even the commissioners have been on board for a long time. Sometimes learn new things. And throughout the conference itself, there are always a lot of information, contracting, laws and all that, things that come up. We bring it to you all the time. That it helps you to be informed. So anyway, if you're interested, let me know, and we'll get you signed up. But the sooner the better, really. And as Aaron mentioned, there's a good possibility that we may ask for a special commission meeting here in the next couple of weeks. I know it's around the holidays here, but instead of bringing something to you at the last minute, we thought that it's better to give an opportunity for you to read through the material and be transparent with the public. But we're afraid that we may run into a time when the in-water work may expire and we don't have everything we need to move forward with that. So instead of waiting until the next commission meeting, I thought, because we have to wait, 3 weeks once we get there?
Yeah, on the anode replacement, it's 3-week order time for the actual parts once you award the contract. So you award the contract and then 3 weeks, and then the work can start.
Would that be like a noon meeting?
Well, we can do this 2 different ways. We can do it an actual physical meeting, either noon or later, whatever you prefer. But one thing I thought we could do to simplify it, and especially that the one for NOAA would have been on a consent calendar anyway. The other item would be the one for the stormwater.
Right.
And the only thing on that one, it may be a little more expensive than we anticipated, because you already approved it. But the problem here is the bids that we got were a little bit higher. So because of that, there would be a change on the amount requested. So, but those are items that could literally be resolved through a phone commission meeting.
Oh,
So a recorded conference call.
Yeah, we've done it before in my previous board, and it's really not a big of a deal. You still have an access. Anybody that wants to be on it, they can get on it. And that will be recorded still, so you still we still posted the meeting. It's just that we don't have to be here physically. So it's your choice in how we move forward with that. It's just easier and quicker that way.
phone call sounds good.
Okay. So when we're ready, we'll let you know. The other thing I have is the Port of Toledo had requested for a joint commission meeting. I believe that was done in the past. I am not really 100% sure how it fully worked. I talked to Bud Schmidt today, and he said that they usually in something like that is more of a social thing. They try to keep it simple, maybe 3 items per port type thing. Is just a way to get the 2 ports together, the commissioners together, and get to know. Sometimes we have few of the same problems, throughout the area. And it's just something simple. I originally talked to Sarah about it. We thought about February, but February they're already having a joint meeting with the city. Although they said perhaps we can still do it towards the end of the month or March or April. So I don't know when it would be first of all, is that something you would like to do? Secondly, when would be the best time to do it?
I would like to do it.
Yeah, it's a good idea. There's no reason not to. We
Get to
should
know
work
our
together.
neighbors up here.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea too.
Yeah. We're pretty intertwined.
Yes, absolutely. Well, without the movement of the vessels out here, they wouldn't get the business they have
Right.
out there. So
Yeah, we work together.
Just a quick one. So when you say meet with the city, who in the city? Is that the city council?
No.
The city manager?
The
Port of Toledo.
is meeting with the city. We
Oh,
would be
Port.
meeting with the Port of Toledo. Yeah,
Oh, that's just to meet with the Port of Toledo.
Just
It's
Port of
the-
Toledo.
Oh, I see.
but we also talk about having a joint meeting with the city of Newport, and that is also something we need to talk about. And when would be a good date for that as well?
Oh, okay.
So.
Last time we did that, it was fun because it was warm and sunny. But it was a good, I really enjoyed that city council getting together. We walked the docks with Kent and
Okay.
did all kinds of things. What?
I was checking with my head cutting off, trying to take minutes while people were walking the dog.
Oh, that.
So you know.
It's more of a field trip than a meeting.
Yeah.
Well, we had fun. Sorry, Karen.
We just get somebody with a boom microphone or something.
We can have Angela follow us around.
And for the city, that is something we certainly could do. We could
I
do
mean,
a
I
little
learned
bit of
things.
business and then do a field trip. And if whatever the city may be interested in, the port may be interested in seeing from the city, it is. But that is something we need to figure out to what is the best date. I know we're going to have budget season coming up and we'll be a little bit busy with that. But do you have any preferences on dates? And
Maybe Port of Toledo before our budget meetings, and then the city after.
yeah,
budget.
that's kind of what
Just
I
kind of
was
spread
thinking.
it out a little bit.
And do you have a preference if we meet here or there? They have a bigger room than we do.
Yeah, we met with the city last time because they have a bigger room.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No real preference.
Well, you did too.
Is this not hidden enough?
You did for a long time.
But anyway, okay. Well, I'll talk to because Bud was having a commission meeting tonight as well, and I told him I'll bring it up either maybe the end of February or first or our normal meeting in March, perhaps. So either way.
I'm flexible.
Me too.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, very good then. And I think that should be about it. Any questions?
Yeah, just one follow-up. So you mentioned, Paula, the PAC West communications. It sounds like they help communicate with the legislature. So that just gets a bigger question. Does the port have a legislative agenda, either federal or for the state? Or does it depend on the states? The Port of Oregon State Association is doing a lot of that.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, so the way this works is we have several people that lobby for us. But there's a different, there's a little bit of lobbying. They do a little bit of lobbying too, but they put the message out. It's more what they do than just lobbying. So the Oregon Public Ports Association, Mark Landauer, actually that's his job. He's a lobbyist. That's how he started for SDAO. And that's what he does. When there are issues, but for ports generally, sometimes he does pick one port's issue in particular, but all the other ports got to agree with it, or at least the majority, if that's something they're going to move forward and bring into the legislation. For instance, the issue that the port had here with the bill that they wanted not dismantle the port, but bring the port to a different
Get rid of the commission and make
Yeah,
it
so
governor
those
appointed.
are type of things that they would do. Puerto Toledo, when they were having issues with their shipyard, for instance, and they had to change the Oregon statute to allow ports to have a shipyard, which wasn't written specifically. Those are the type of things that they would certainly address on the state level. And then on the federal level, Business Oregon has a firm in Washington, D.C. that does a lot of lobbying also for the ports in general. And Business Oregon paid for that. If we want some items there is very specific, that firm will take our money and will do a more service for us in terms of really focusing on our problem. And besides that, there's PNWA, Pacific Northwest Waterways Association, who works a lot with the Army Corps on the local areas as well as in Washington, D.C., so the Portland areas, the folks that represent us out here, and then Washington, D.C., but that's more for general work, like say, for instance, the Yaquina Bay needs to be dredged, or we need something fixed here that has issues with navigations, or things like we want this grant, we want to move forward with dredging of the marina, the commercial marina. They certainly will be there for us and things like that. So it really depends what we're looking for. And there are other projects too, like they help ports with aviation, they have airports, they may go to FAA and they'll do other federal things too, but they're focused on federal in general. They do FEMA, they work with FEMA. Anyway, bottom line is, if we want something more structured, specifically for us, and we really want that communication to be very heavy and people that already have that relationship, PacWest is just one of those firms. And again, at this point in time, I don't think we have any projects that I feel that would that I would want to spend money, that kind of money in it. But those folks still would want to come talk to us, let them know they exist and they're available. And it's good to know, it's good to still keep that relationship.
Okay, I didn't know whether you had the report developed an explicit set of legislative issues it's either tracking or want support from the commission or want support from stakeholders here to help out with, particularly at the state level or occasionally assume maybe even at the federal level.
We have a list of things that usually is more related to developments, opportunities with the NWA. They have a list of things that, especially now, we'll go to Washington, D.C., and if we have specific, that we can set up our own meetings with each legislator there. But we have general things that they put on their list to talk to those folks. When every year, Mark Landau from OPPA will send us a list of all the things that he feels that may reflect on the port some way, somehow, beneficial or not. Either he would ask, folks, do you want to support this? Or I think this is bad for the ports. And when he sent that list down, usually what I would do is bring that list over to you and let you take a look at it and see what your thoughts are on some, if there's anything specific that you would want to highlight in ask questions or say, let's not go there. And that's sort of how I would treat that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great, thanks.
Sorry, this is...
This stuff is important.
Mm-hmm.
Any more comments or questions to Paula on her manager's report? Okay. So, commissioner reports or comments. Gil.
I start with me. No, I have nothing to report except talking about working with the city. The Vision 24 strategic planning group is gotten reinvigorated again since the summer's over. So that's another group that at some point you might want to have a discussion with. However, we might structure that. So it's something to think about. One of the things we're looking at is in the subcommittee on economic development is maybe have a section there to talk about economic development associated with marine, and maybe get a group of people together and talk about that, consistent with strategic Vision 2040.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that's something we do with the city council. The city council, this is what that's called, the city council and the city manager, with respect to Vision 2040, are trying to figure out how to get on the same page with their strategic planning and thinking. So that's an ongoing effort to try to merge the plans. And I think the
Right.
broader interest of the city is to look at other organizations, civic organizations, and private organizations in the city, and their strategic plans. And the point of alignment where it makes sense, right? And to understand these plans and then to align them over time, so for mutual benefit.
Well, I think that we could do this both ways, Gil. I think we could maybe trying to bring someone here to summarize, especially the things that pertains to the port, and impacts or in the economic sector, that there's some expectations there from the board, and vice versa. Maybe we can, you can enlighten us. And actually, I've been looking to go into some of those meetings. So I get the invitations, but you've been going. But I think it's important that I have a good understanding of that too. And perhaps we can, as we understand what they're doing, that we can bring to them our expectations too. So I think you can maybe go both ways.
Yeah. So one thing I'm suggesting to the broader committee is that we bring in different representatives of different organizations in the city to join us
Yeah.
in we have maybe one meeting every 2 months, and that we take part of that meeting. So, for example, the port could come, Paul, and you could represent and talk about what the port's up to, and we could talk about the Vision 2040 plan. That might, and then we would do that with the community college and a lot of other organizations here. It's Vision 2040, so we have 21 years.
Yeah.
Well, one thing we haven't done much, at least I've been here for 7 months, we haven't really had one, and we probably should soon, is have some work sessions too. And the work sessions, it'll be a second meeting on the month that is dedicated to just learning or discussing things that it's not necessarily for approval, but just to a way of understanding issues and talking to each other. Or learning about something that any organization of the city can bring it to us as well. So maybe we should try to schedule one of those meetings soon, maybe after New Year's, and bring some of those topics.
Would we bring other people to explain stuff to us?
Absolutely. And then you can ask questions and talk amongst each other, and that's usually how.
In a nice, transparent way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. Jeff, any?
No.
Jim?
I will be attending the Association of Pacific Ports annual conference, and just one comment on SCAO. I attended that last year, and one of the more enlightening things that I got out of that was the Port Caucus, and that's where Landauer spoke and kind of gave the breakdown of federal and state bills and efforts in lobbying, and that part was really good for me. And public meeting rules and regulations was really also pretty good, but the port information from the lobbyist perspective was really enlightening. I thought that was really valuable.
Great. I have no reports or comments. So we have calendar of future considerations. The Christmas holiday, the port office will be closed.
That was.
Oh my God. And New Year's holiday, the port office will be closed? Oh my God. And a resolution run and polar bear plunge. Are they going to jump into the bay or the ocean or something?
Yes.
Oh my God. So, Martin Luther King Day, the port office is closed. It's a federal holiday. Association of Pacific Ports Annual Conference is January 22nd to the 24th. The next regular commission meeting will be January 28th. SDO Annual Conference is February 6th through the 9th. President's Day Port Office is closed February 17th. Newport Seafood and Wine Festival is the 20th through the 23rd. February regular commission meeting is February 25th. PNWA Mission to Washington is March 1st through the 5th. And that takes us to public comments. Do we have any public comments? State your name. You got 3 minutes.
Jim Shaw, South Beach. I just want to wish everybody Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And what I say, you earned it, particularly the commissioners, because they earned so much money.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I think the joint meeting with the city council is a great idea.
It was
I
fun.
already sent Spencer an email saying that.
Cool.
It'd be a good idea.
I think it's very important. We overlap a lot, so.
Yeah, I know we talked about it at one point doing that, so.
Okay, well, I guess the meeting is adjourned at 7:32.